we will start tonight by, does anyone have any questions at the moment? Are we okay? So we'll start this evening with the part-time officers. So we have the non-rep positions first, and that takes us on to Alice/Alvin, I believe, as secretary, and there is obviously Ron.
Where is Sandra? I'm Alice, and this year I'm running for BL Secretary. Having been on Student Council for the past 2 years and a member of various student group committees, I understand not only how BLSA works, but also the challenges experienced by students involved. If elected, I will work closely with all the reps to ensure that meetings are productive and helpful, and that the incredible work done by the BLSA board is properly shared with the wider student population. I am dedicated, capable and passionate about BLSA. If you have any questions about BLSA, feel free to get in touch, and apologies for not being able to attend hustings today.
Thank you, Alice. And obviously when a statement's being read, we can't ask questions. So we'll move on, okay? But now we're in the flow. So, brilliant. Nooms. Can you come up for
I'm really sorry, it's meant to say my name.
Please, your minute and a half hasn't started yet, Nooms. So, where do you feel comfortable?
Does it matter?
No. It's up to you, babe.
I can stand here.
All right. Let me. Yeah, you're good to go.
Hi everyone, I'm Numa, or Nooms, as you might know me. I'm running for RAG officer next year, so just a little bit about me. I was one of the entertainment officers this year, and I have been a part of loads of different committees and societies in my time here at BL. There are kind of some main things that I really want to improve with regards to RAG. One of the big things is trying to improve and increase the awareness of RAG. I feel like it's dropped a bit in recent years, and I have lots of really interesting ideas for how to improve that. I also want to make a bit more of a streamlined line of communication between the RAG officer and student groups for groups who are doing events for RAG, or where the proceeds go to RAG or their selected RAG charity. And I want to build on what the current RAG officer is doing this year, which is making sure that there is RAG merchandise sold at the BLSA reception, with the proceeds going to RAG again. And there are some kind of issues surrounding it, so I think there'll be it's important to try and make sure that that happens next year if possible.
Lovely, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, so we'll open the floor to questions. Like I say, I can take up to 2 at a time. So does anyone have anything they would like to ask? Yes.
Why do you think that RAG has dropped in recent years in terms of student engagement and like on it?
Okay, news. Careful. Has anyone else got any questions? Wonderful. So we'll just take that one. Would you like me to repeat it, or are you happy as is?
I think I'm okay.
Okay, all right. Probably happy.
Thank you for the question. So I think one of the big things is that there are so many different volunteering groups here at BL now, and I think people maybe get a bit confused by what the difference is between RAG and a volunteering group, and maybe don't quite understand the distinctions or how they can work together. So I think one of the really important things to kind of combat from the get-go is getting involved in Freshers Fortnight and making sure in the welcome fair that there's a big RAG presence, and someone, well, hopefully me, and the committee, whoever the committee members may be for RAG next year, are kind of explaining what it is and explaining the difference and things like that.
Lovely. Okay. Anyone got any other questions? Okay, news. Thank you very much. So, alumni officer, have we got, yes? Okay, Aina? Is Esther here? Okay, no worries. Okay, so when you're ready.
Alright, so my name is Aina Khan, and I'm a undergrad first year at Global Health. And And being a global health student in allied courses, it's quite a new subject and new in the job sector. And seeing that one of the main priority in the welfare concerns from the BLSA students was that they wanted a higher career and employability rate, and seeing our employability rate isn't that much, my goal is to increase that. And speaking for myself in a lot of the allied courses, we are trying to sell our course, and as an alumni officer, I believe bringing in the previous alumnus and to help us mentor and guide us in the right path to make us much more employable in the job sector. This not only applies to allied courses, but as well as medics and dentists. I'm sure a lot of them would need not only academic help, but as well as where their next step should be after university. And so being just a student who is very much academically focused, you're not really thinking of where you're going after uni, and you want to surely be employed. I mean, that's everyone's goal. So in order to increase that and reduce the anxiety amongst many of the students, such as myself, I would like to push for alumni to visit and help the current students. Thank you.
All right, lovely. Any questions from the floor? Okay. Oh, yeah. Hi.
So if you were to be the alumni officer, you'd sit on the Barts and The London Alumni Association kind of committee. You attend some of those meetings, and that committee's, as far as I'm aware, is made up exclusively of medical and dental alumni. So how would you make sure that they consider the kind of allied courses alumni in their approach, as well as just medics and dentists?
Yeah, so you can start whenever you like.
Alright, so I don't know if you're aware, but there is a new and upcoming society called the annual membership from the QMSU Donates Society, and they allow current societies to borrow funds from them and to bring in any alumni. So yes, we don't have enough allied courses alumni at the moment, but the whole purpose of such a society, and for me to work with them, because you can ask them for their help. So you can approach them, and they would allow you to bring in funds and bring the alumni from the courses that are already being taught here, not only global health but neurology, pharmacology, and we have a lot of these alumni that have already graduated from here. And so they would allow you to bring them here in a much more informal and enjoyable atmosphere, because they will be joining sports societies. So this current sports societies at BLSA can ask for those funds and bring in those alumni.
Lovely, thank you, Anna. Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, now our ENTS officers, please. All right, so if we have you guys planned something to say together, because I know you're running together? Okay, all right, so if we just give them that time. Okay. Enjoy, the floor is yours.
Hi, I'm Alex and I'm a first year medic. I'm Kat and I'm first year global health. And we're running to be your entertainment officers next year. So being first years means that we've recently experienced Freshers Fortnight and how the new freshers are welcomed into the BL family, and we really want to be able to organise Freshers Fortnight next year so that the new freshers can feel as welcomed as we did. We obviously have no experience of sitting on the BLSA board, but we have attended a lot of the events that are being run by this year's ENTS officers, like the pub quizzes and pound stretches, so we kind of know how they're run and we've got ideas of how we want to run them next year.
Yeah, and we'd definitely like to increase the presence on social media to increase engagement with all these events, and we do this by working closely with the engagement officers, as well as working with RAG officers and sports societies to rebrand and reinvent a lot of the GRIF events that we take place throughout the year. And speaking as an allied course, student, I'd really like to open up the inclusivity of allied courses and make sure that everyone feels a part of the BLSA.
We essentially just want to create a welcoming atmosphere at every event, making it inclusive for allied courses, commuters, non-drinkers, and making sure that it's integrated so that everybody can enjoy the events. And with that, we want to work as well with the welfare officer to make sure that especially the freshers events are running smoothly and that all the students feel supported.
Yeah, and just to reiterate, we're Alex and Kat, and we're excited to share all our new ideas with you.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Any questions for Alex and Kat? Yes, Numa?
I just wanted to ask whether you had any or have had any thoughts or ideas about how to improve some of the queuing issues that were surrounded in Freshers Fortnight and some of our big events.
Yeah.
Wait a second.
Sorry.
Have we got any other questions at all? Yeah.
Have you thought about any new events that we've not done and how you might integrate those into Freshers Fortnight to make them a bit more inclusive? I know you spoke a bit about you want to make sure that it is inclusive, but how are you going to do that?
Lovely. Okay. I'll just repeat both of those questions. So I think, are you happy to kind of answer them together, or okay? So both. I'm trying to do really quick maths right now. So that would be 3 minutes per question. 3 minutes. We'll give you 3 minutes. If we need to, we'll sort it out. Feeling pretty competent right now. So the first question was, have you any thoughts or ideas about improving the queuing system? And the second question was that you've mentioned the new events and kind of anything in particular about how we're going to integrate them into freshers and open them up a bit more. Does that sound right? Okay, lovely. The floor is yours.
Yeah, just to speak to the queuing issue, I know that the current ENTS officers have taken the feedback of the students with freshers queues, and they're looking to reinvent the ticketing system. So next year that it will be a lot more streamlined, so that students can scan on their phones or tablets to get in to the Griff, which should help a lot with the queuing issues.
And answering your question about inclusivity of events, we want to kind of decrease the number necessarily of club nights, so not so many pound stretchers, maybe 3 or 4 in the year, but have more events that like karaoke and things like that, which more people can come to and aren't necessarily focused around drinking and having a big night out.
Wonderful, well done. Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to education. So we have preclinical rep, please. Okay, so if you just introduce yourself when ready and
So I'm James and I'm a first year medical student. So obviously I've only been at Barts for a short time, but it didn't take me long to become very impressed with everything that this university does and has to offer. However, nothing is ever perfect, so everything is requiring improvement. Over the past 5 months, I've sat as a course rep with Sid, who is the current preclinical rep, and watched how his work has changed university, such as with the new EPM system, which he has had to help spread throughout the university and get everyone's opinion on. Some of the things that I think need changing in this university: there's a big lack of study spaces on the Charterhouse Square campus. In Whitechapel, we are fortunate enough to have the garage and the library open till late. However, there's nothing really equivalent over there, and it's unfair to expect them to be using these facilities due to time travelling and the safety concerns of having to go late at night. Another problem I had is there is a real lack of engagement with the course reps. A lot of people don't actually know who their course reps are, or they're confusing them with other roles such as preclinical rep or the first year reps on the BLSA board. a lot of people don't know who they are by name, and I think this is a shame because it's a real good way to get feedback back to university, and it can go straight to the the student board for the pre-clinical years and the clinical years. I'm not good for acronyms. And I just feel that they should be doing drop-in sessions so people can see them by face, and anonymous forums so they don't have to have the pressure of doing it face to face, but can still submit their ideas.
With 1 second to go. All right, thank you. Any questions, James? Let's go. Let's mix it up. Phil, if you take us away first, and then Tom.
So you mentioned the issues about study space at Charterhouse Square. Have you thought about how you might increase study space over there? Because obviously it's quite restricted space-wise.
Lovely. And Tom?
One of the things that staff often say, or I found anyway, that when you go to SSLCs and you tell them that something's wrong, is that they don't see it reflected in the JISC surveys at the end of modules and things, and that's often because students don't fill them in. So have you got any ideas on how you might get students to fill in those evaluations so that staff might actually listen more to people's concerns?
Brilliant. So just to repeat that, so have you any ideas about how to improve the study space at Charterhouse Square? And then how will you kind of encourage people to fill in those JISC surveys? You have 1.5 minutes to answer both questions. When you're ready.
So starting with the study spaces, firstly we should be pushing to have the library open more often. I've heard there are structural problems causing floods, which is causing the basement to be unavailable. However, I feel this should be pushed with maintenance to make it accessible, because it's not fair that these students are being deprived of an area where they have to study, which will impact their degree. So that's a big push I'd like to do, and also I feel that there must be an area located on that campus that is not being well used, that we could potentially redesign to be used for its original purpose as well as a study space. So if it's being used as like a seminar room during the day, why can't it be used as a study room at night, and that sort of thing. That's what I want to try and locate and renovate. In terms of engagement surveys, I feel that the university really at the moment just send out one email and say, can you please fill this in, and there's nothing really, like, people don't really know what they are and if it's a lot of benefits. So I feel we need more explaining of firstly why we need to do these surveys, and then just a lot more pushing to do it. And I feel we get it out there of what they are and how they're going to help. People might think, oh, actually I did have this idea that I wanted to change, or actually I thought this was really well, I want them to keep doing this. It should encourage people to want to do it more often.
Lovely, well done. Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to clinical rep. Sid's submitted one, Alvin is now Sid. You can come back, I promise. Okay.
Hi everyone, I'm so sorry I couldn't be with you today. Unfortunately, due to personal reasons and the impending doom of an ICA tomorrow, I couldn't be here. I thought I'd use this time to quickly share my plans for the role. I would like to focus on ensuring our curriculum represents the changes to assessments and the upcoming MLA, improve on the diversity and inclusivity of our teaching to better represent the patient demographic we will interact with. Furthermore, I will continue to campaign for advancing the way we are taught and assessed with technology to represent the changing work environment. Lastly, I hope to continue empowering student reps and student voice, as I have done this year as pre-clinical rep and across 4 BL committees. Vote for your future and vote for me.
Thank you, Sid. All right, okay, when you're ready.
Hello, my name is Kara Lambos. I'm a third-year medical student and I'm currently a course rep. And I'm running for the position of clinical rep. I chose to run for this position because this position is an excellent opportunity for me to get involved with the student union and also to support students and help them through their clinical years and through their placements. there are some things I would like to focus next year on, and I'm planning to do so. Firstly, I would like to get involved in organizing careers fairs and intercalation fair, which I saw this year that they need some improvement. And obviously, I will prioritize any student issues with their logbooks or their firms, because being in a placement this year, I know how distressing it is for students to have any problems with these issues. And also, I would like to work with the course reps and empower them and create a supporting network for students so that they always feel that they have someone to talk to, because I know it may be quite difficult to have someone to find someone to talk to in a situation where you need to. And lastly, I would like to organize meetings in the end of every rotation where students can come and talk to me or to the course reps about and give feedback about their rotation, which I believe it's pretty useful at the end of the rotation for the next people that will go there. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Have we got any questions? Yes, please, Till.
You mentioned issues of logbooks. Can you expand on what those issues are and how you see yourself being able to affect change related to those issues, please?
Okay, and don't tell me Tom.
What are your views on the recent changes to the EPM decile ranking thing?
Alright. Okay, sounds like you're an expert in that area, Tom. So just to repeat those two questions, it's you've mentioned the logbook issues and how are you going to enact change with this, and what are your views on the recent EPM discussions? You can answer whichever one first, and you've got 1.5 minutes for both of them, as in collectively. 1 minute and a half. Okay, after you.
On the logbook thing, I know that, for example, this year with the Obsinkani logbook, the 4th year logbook, there were some issues because of the volume of stuff needed to be signed. So if this was addressed from early on, maybe a change would have been made quicker, so that not that students will be more relieved and enjoy more their placement, instead of leaving it for late when you can't intervene on it. And for the APM as well, I think my views don't really matter because I'm here to represent students. So if students want a change, then I don't, my personal view should not interview with that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Alvin, do you want to No, okay. So we've got the activities roles now. So the central. When you're ready.
My name is Milton Justin Sathakaran, and I'm running for DENSOC President this year. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it due to personal commitments at home, but I'd like to give a short statement for why you should vote for me. As the current BDS2 rep, I've learned how to find solutions to our problems, and this skill is imperative to have as president. Also, I have represented our dental school many times with positive outcomes, having helped many prospective students choose Barts for dentistry. I'm the right candidate for this position, as I have many friendly connections throughout the dental school, making sure everyone is facilitated for, according to their needs and wants. My manifesto will be sent around again soon, and I also wish Sam the best of luck.
Okay. Sports officer. All right. So if we have Jess first, if that's okay.
Yep.
And just go whenever you're ready.
Alright, so my name's Jess, I'm running for Sports Officer. Sport's been a huge part of my life. I started Barts in 2013 and I've been part of BL Sport ever since. Something I'm really passionate about. So I've been a member of BLBC since the start of 2013 when I came to Barts, and I've been on many committee positions for that, including club captain this year and last year. I've also been fortunate enough to be on CSC this year, so combined with CSC and club captain for BLBC, I feel I've got quite a good insight into club sport being run from both sides. I'm currently global health second year. I was also fortunate enough to do medicine before, so I feel like I've got a good view of both sides of like medicine and allied courses at Barts, and like quite a unique insight into the student experience here. And then I believe this combination of these experiences makes me an ideal candidate for sports officer. Every item on my manifesto is something that I've really considered if it is feasible and how it would work, and I truly believe I've got the experience to put into place these ideas, basically focusing on club funding and finances, supporting our clubs, celebrating our clubs, and inclusivity in the clubs. I'd love to be elected sports officer to ensure that all sports clubs have the best platform to grow and provide the best experience to all Barts students.
Thank you. Esther's just going to help me with the stopwatch. Thank you. And when you're ready.
Sport is my passion. I absolutely love it. I'm Liam. Just got to do that. Sport is my absolute passion. I love it. I've been competing in swimming and water polo for years and years and years. I've got involved in sort of national level sport and coaching athletes as well to an international level. Also have organised triathlons, coached younger children, and organised swimming galas for them as well. Coming to BL last year was an absolute privilege. I loved it. This year I've been a captain for water polo, welfare rep, and also been on the CSC as well as Jess, and we know each other well from that. So, as you can tell, I do love sport. It's I breathe it. I absolutely love it. There are a few things at BL Sport that really could just be enhanced slightly. We've got an amazing community here. But as I stated in my manifesto, I've got 3 key aims: increasing accessibility, expanding publicity, and improving club sustainability. So to increase accessibility, we all know JEPs, third year transfers, it can be quite a struggle to get into the clubs, especially commuters. I'm one myself. So by sending out an extra welcome pack with the pack that people get at the start of the year to really detail the amount of the amount of time they have, and then yeah, I'm pretty much out of time. I've messed this one up. Read my manifesto.
Finished. Well done. Okay. All right. Does anyone in the audience have any questions? Yes, Caitlin?
So, as I'm sure you both know, there's ongoing problems with merger funding.
We love it.
About that. And in general, merger is facing quite a hostile feature from the university, and especially in terms of monetary support. How are you going to navigate that problem next year and sell merger, basically?
Okay, and any other? Let's go to Jack, sorry.
As you know, some groups find it more difficult to access sport than others, such as disabled students and LGBT students. How would you address that as an issue and improve the accessibility and inclusivity of sport at BL?
Okay. So those questions again. If we have Jess answering the questions first, the first one is brand new news that they don't like merger.
Who's they?
Justin. And so the merger funding has been cut this year, so kind of how are you going to help address that and address the more scary, hostile future? And the second is about identifying those who we need to improve the inclusivity of our sports clubs. So Jess, if you're happy, like I say, if either of you want a refresh of the questions, let me know. But a minute and a half for you to close that.
Okay, so merger. Obviously this year's essential costs were covered by the CCF, but that's not something that can be done in the future. So I think for next year, they're already starting to sort of look at it with some of the merger t-shirt money, but that obviously won't be covering the essential sort of safety costs that you need to run merger.
So I personally thought potentially looking at everyone who is part of club sport pays club sport subs, so it's £5, and there's a huge number of people involved in club sport, and that money is more than enough to cover the essential safety costs and essential running costs of merger. So that's a potential sustainable avenue to look down. As for sort of the maintenance and promotion of merger, it's pretty integral to the Barts culture of sport. Merger is a huge event, and I think that is something that sort of is just a part of Barts. As for accessibility, I think promoting sport within these student groups and how they can be accessible, and then the sports groups getting involved in campaigns that are involving those sort of student groups, is a way to sort of improve awareness and accessibility for both.
Lovely. Thank you. And we're ready.
Okay. So, as Jess said about the club sport membership, I believe there's 1,200 members of club sport at the moment. They pay £5 membership each. That money goes into the club sport development fund. If they pay an extra £1.50 per person, we can increase mate, I can't do maths. But we will have enough money to cover merger plus the t-shirt cost we're using this year. So to make merger sustainable, and I know both myself and Jess, if either of us are elected sports officer, it's the one thing that would be top priority. Merger, if we were sports officers, would be the main thing that we want to keep. There's no doubt about that. So that might be a potential avenue to go down in terms of increasing by £1.50 that club sport membership. With regards to accessibility, I think promoting the financial support fund is really important. I don't think enough presidents know about it. And also by working with the welfare reps and the presidents together to ensure that club activities are just as accessible for disabled students is really important. We have the welfare reps now as well. By making them work together and sitting down with them all at the start of the year to try and increase the accessibility of all their programmes would be a way to go down, as well as using that financial support fund to increase any club activities for individuals who need it.
Wonderful, thank you. Have we got any other questions? We'll go for Numa then Ina. Numa?
So kind of building on the accessibility thing, how would you work with students from different maybe minority groups who maybe don't drink, who maybe even have issues with things like uniforms and feeling uncomfortable in certain clothing, or feeling that they can't participate because they have maybe a religious requirement or something like that, and how would you try and work with those specific groups who normally don't get involved in the sports scene at Barts at all, even if they have before, or are maybe really great at sport but they want to enjoy it but they really don't feel comfortable doing it? Sorry, that was a really long one.
No, I've summed it up in 7 words.
Great.
So, Ina,
I mean, you practically said everything, but yeah, just going back to that, it's like back to the accessibility. Like if they belong from different cultural backgrounds, a lot of them did say that they couldn't participate in different sports because it was mixed gender and they would like it separate. So I didn't hear anything from you guys on that. So if you could just elaborate on that, please.
okay. Because that's kind of a follow-on, I'm gonna open back up because I know Till, did you? Yeah, it was you.
So you both kind of mentioned the word sustainability. What does sustainability mean within the sports environment, and how do you see your role helping clubs to ensure they've got a sustainable future?
Okay, so Liam, we'll start with you this time. So the 2 questions were kind of within those groups that have been identified that we need to improve the inclusion of. How can you work with them to really get them involved in sports? And then the second question is, what does sustainability in sports mean to you? And how will you, in this role, bring about sustainability?
Okay. So accessibility in different groups is a huge problem. I accept that. I think we need to, again, in those welcome packs, really emphasise that at Barts we have a special community where it is inclusive for all. But also driving through the campaign weeks that we have in the university and making them bigger, we can actually draw in people who might already be here but just don't feel comfortable. For example, I know we spoke about the gender sort of thing as well. During this Girl Can Week, water polo, we run a women's only session to try and improve the engagement with women. Also, I know there's certain sports that will be very difficult all the time in terms of comfortableness in what you want to do. But by driving through those campaign weeks and really making the big point and get all the clubs involved, I think we can really engage those minority groups that might not be feeling so encouraged. Sustainability, by driving through the sports social cohesion project and making sure the clubs can access the benefits that volunteering and things like that can give them, and also by really looking at the way travel money is allocated at the university, looking at a whole review of with the club sport development team, something we've spoken about in CSC this year, by really overhauling that and making sure our athletes aren't actually having to fork out a small fortune to go for an away match in Kent, which at the moment they do because it's disgraceful in terms of the sports, in terms of the travel funding. So looking at a review of that and working to make sure we access the money in the right way for travel.
So in terms of the different sort of student groups getting involved, sort of building on what Liam said as well, sort of I think really focusing in Freshers Week to make it like thinking about non-drinking, pushing sort of non-drinking events, not just as like token events throughout the year, but sort of in Freshers Week as well, having like a Welcome Week non-drinking event as well, which I think would help include groups, and also working with welfare officers and club committee during, say, Big Hello training to sort of improve the club's awareness about different people's experiences and how that might reflect in their sport experience is definitely something that could be worked on. For sustainability, working with clubs to sort of plan long term rather than the 1 year, because obviously club committees are forever changing, but if you get clubs to sort of develop long term plans, sort of 5-year plans, so they can long term plan obviously, then they're not sort of 1 year and then it's a new committee and it's another 1 year focus and you're sort of building on what you've got, being more sustainable.
Lovely, thank you. Okay. Societies officer. Alvin, if you go first.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Vivara, and I'm running for BL Societies Officer. Over the past 2 years, I've been involved in many BL societies, and I believe I would be a great fit for this role, given my experience. I am keen on increasing the engagement of societies, making procedural improvements, and encouraging transparency. I'm sorry I could not attend the debate, but feel free to send me a message on Facebook if you have any questions. Good luck to the rest of the candidates.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Yaqub. I'm running for Societies Officer, and I would like to be elected because there are a couple of changes that I have in mind. First of all, I would like our societies to have a greater role, especially on social media where the awareness isn't as high. So if I were elected, I would focus on spreading this popularity via the social media, and if I were able to do that, then I would ensure that more students are able to join. And I'm trying to get more students to join societies because this will improve their university experience and this will make them enjoy it more. Also, I would like to tackle some other issues such as the funding and how easy it is to start your own society. I want to make it easier for people to join and establish their own societies. However, at the same time, ensure that there are strict regulations to ensure that the societies, if they are formed, they can be sustainable throughout a couple of years. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Have we any questions? We'll go for Lucy and James. If we've got enough time, Caitlin, I'll come back to you. Lucy.
So my question is, during Freshers Fortnight, how would you propose to increase the engagement with freshers to join societies, especially considering new students aren't necessarily keyed into the social media network for Barts.
Okay, and the second question, James?
Leading on to that, how will you
In the efforts of fairness, because they are quite similar questions like before, Caitlin, would you like to?
Yeah, I'm going to ask another obvious question. So, Laird Hall's looking like it's going to be demolished in the next few years. During this year as Societies Officer, I've had real problems raising the profile of this issue with the university and ensuring that we garner a replacement for Laird Hall and a sustainable solution for societies in the interim. Have you got any ideas on how to press this issue with the university or to campaign for a replacement to this performance space?
Alright, okay. So the first questions were about how to best advertise, particularly in Freshers Fortnight, particularly to those who don't necessarily go on mainstream social media channels. And the second question, again, shocking news. Laird Hall is looking to be taken offline over the next year or so, and how will you make sure that this is discussed in the university meetings, and how will you help in the interim, for an interim venue, whenever you would like?
Alright, so regarding the first question about how to make it more popular, we should first of all start by increasing its social media awareness on campus. Perhaps we could advertise by having posters on campus stating the account's name of the societies. Also, we should have more than just on Facebook and Instagram, because I know that there are people who perhaps don't have one social media but they have another one. So we should seek to include as many social medias as we can, including but not limited to Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and so on. We should even seek to pursue a WhatsApp group chat, as that is one of the most popular social medias at the moment. And so that would really raise awareness, and then people would be more inclined to join us.
Okay, and the second question was about Laird Hall, how you're going to press this issue with the university, and how you're going to support the interim venue.
Admittedly, regarding the Laird Hall issue, I'm not aware that much as to what is happening. However, I can tell from the reaction and how you people are talking about it that it matters a lot to you. And therefore, if I were elected, then I would obviously have to conduct more research regarding the issue going on.
10 seconds.
And then I would also make sure that it's passed on towards the university so that we could hopefully reach a positive solution.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you. Volunteering.
Should I just climb?
Yeah.
Jump! Yeah, come on, I am injured.
Okay. Neha,
Yeah.
you're happy to go first, and start whenever you're ready.
Okay, hi everyone, my name's Neha Sadiq, I'm a third year medic and I'm running for volunteering officer to promote inter-volunteering group collaboration and to generally increase participation of Barts students within volunteering. I think here at Barts we're in a really unique position. We've got a student body who's like super talented, super skilled and really energetic in an area where there is deprivation, there is crime and generally poor health habits. So I think there's so much scope for volunteering, specifically within Barts. Through my position as volunteering editor at Circadian and member of the Teddy Bear Hospital Committee for 2 years, amongst other things, I've seen the many strengths of volunteering, but also where there's room for improvement. So with your help, in the future, I'd like to start some social events for volunteers to really add a more community feel to it. Because right now I feel like if you look at societies and you look at sports, everyone's kind of together, volunteers are all separated into their groups and there's not much inclusion. And then I'd also like to do some social media campaigns throughout the year to really especially targeting freshers so that we can just increase participation, which I know has been a problem in the past. So yeah, thanks for listening, and don't be a hater, vote for Neha.
Okay, alright. Annie, when you're ready.
Hello, I'm Annie. So I've always been involved in volunteering from like a really young age. I used to volunteer at care home and like a charity shop in primary school. And this year I've been a volunteering champion. So I've led groups volunteering at the Whitechapel Mission, which is a homelessness shelter. We've done sorting out clothes, cooking breakfast. I've also led volunteers at St Joseph's Hospice near Hackney. And these events for students are really good because they're just one-off, and they don't require long-term commitment, but they're really like badly publicised, and I think they could, if I was elected, then I'd really improve their publicity of those events. I'd really like to increase the amount of opportunities for volunteering with elderly people who are lonely, because I think this is a really big issue and we could really do something about it. As medical students, we've all got good communication skills, we could make them feel a lot better, I think. And I feel like I'm a happy, friendly, smiley person, and hopefully freshers would want to approach me if they've got any questions about volunteering, and they can kind of find their volunteering niche. That's what I really want to encourage, for people to find what they want to do and get involved with it, and not be left kind of at a loose end. So yeah.
Lovely, thank you. Okay, and to the floor. Any questions? Yeah, Matt?
You guys talked about how you want to make volunteering more prominent at BL, and some of you have mentioned how societies and sports are really kind of have a community and stuff. Have you thought about any ways that you can get those societies and sports to join into volunteering? How would you push that? How would you get kind of cross engagement between society, sports, etc.?
Okay. Jack?
I think one of the big reasons that more people don't volunteer at BL is because of the time commitments. A lot of people find it quite difficult to commit to the regular time commitments involved with regular volunteering. And so I think one-off volunteering opportunities are a really great way to encourage people to volunteer more. How would you go about increasing the number of opportunities for one-off volunteering?
Okay. So Neha, if we start with you, so you've got a minute and a half, and just to repeat, those questions are, how can we improve the society and sport involvement within volunteering, and any ideas about increasing the one-off opportunities, how you go about that?
So from what I'm aware, there is some collaboration between sport and volunteering, and there are some awards that go to, correct me if I'm wrong, the sports group which logs the most volunteering hours. I think it's a great scheme, we should definitely continue it. I think we can definitely include societies. We've got so many academic societies, so many specialities, and there's definitely a form of volunteering that could go with each. So I know I recently saw on the BL Obs and Gynae that they were going to do some sex education talks. So for example, if they could just find, and obviously with the volunteering officers' help, find a volunteering avenue and then log hours and perhaps give awards and give some like funding for any groups that show outstanding efforts in volunteering. I think that would be a really good idea to get everyone involved. And then, sorry, what was the other question?
Yeah, the next one is time commitment, so the increasing one-off opportunities.
Okay, yeah, one-off opportunities, I think it's an amazing idea. I'm personally more involved with groups, but I have only recently heard about these one-off volunteering ideas, and if I've been here for 3 years and I'm just hearing about it now, we need to increase our marketing, and we need to increase, I think we just need to go to different groups around Whitechapel. I know there are loads, for example, Whitechapel Mission, that's already being done. There is Rock, who are doing a street kitchen. If we just approach different groups and just try and make as many opportunities for students to get involved, I think that'd be a great idea.
Okay. Annie, when you're ready.
So in terms of sports teams, I think we really do need to increase the awareness that I'm pretty sure sports teams can get extra funding if they do more volunteering, but loads of sports teams don't actually know about that. They don't know about these awards. And I also think a bit of like friendly competition between the sports teams would really encourage them. Not like don't get bitter about it, but a bit more kind of, oh, this team are doing this, we should do something as well. I think that kind of competition could really like rev people up to do stuff. And in terms of one-off opportunities, so I think there are a lot, and they are like lacking people to do it. So they have stuff at Whitechapel Mission, hospices, Hackney Winter night shelters, but like they never put these things on social media. It's always by email and stuff. So I think if I definitely as volunteering officer would happily make events on social media, because I think that is really the way going forward to increase these things. You can see who's going, you can see who's interested, you can see who's running it. So definitely putting those events on social media, I think, would be a good way to do it.
Great, thank you. Is there any more questions? Yeah, Leo?
I understand that certain volleyball opportunities are actually limited to actually who can join in the sense of like dentists or medics. So how do you propose to engage the allied courses side of people that are training to be a dentist or medic?
Okay. And have we got any more stuff?
Do you see there being any crossover between volunteering and RAG, and if so, what does that look like?
Okay, lovely. So this time, Annie, if you start on the responses. So the two questions are engaging allied courses in volunteering, and the second one is do you see any crossover with volunteering and RAG, and how can they be brought in alignment? All right, Annie,
So in terms of allied courses, I think all volunteering societies are happy to take anyone. They want people to join in. And I do think there is probably that kind of idea with allied courses, like, oh, that's Teddy Bear Hospital, that's only for dentists and medics, when really they should know that it's inclusive for everyone who wants to do it. And so we should let them know that. The other question
was the crossover with RAG.
Oh, right, so I didn't know if this is classed as volunteering or RAG, but you know, I know in primary school we used to make shoe boxes at Christmas, which had loads of different things in that you would, I think it was through Save the Children or UNICEF, you used to send them off. I think we could kind of make that into a massive event, and potentially which sports team can make the most shoe boxes, and create that competition between them. It'd be RAG as well, because you need the fundraising, and so you could get RAG committee involved, and it's volunteering because you're giving up your hours to do something helpful and productive. So that could get loads of people involved, I think, and would be a really good event kind of around Christmas time.
Lovely, thank you. Neha?
For the allied courses, I understand what you mean. I do know that there is kind of this perceived thing where the allied courses aren't really as involved, and I've seen it myself. But like Annie said, like there's a lot of volunteering groups which, even though the name may not seem like that way, it is a lot of allied courses are allowed to come, and I know there are people in QM courses who are doing completely not health related. They come and join in Barts volunteering groups. So maybe just letting people know that they're completely welcome, and maybe reaching out to these specific volunteering groups and telling them to go into group chats and allied health and group chats and try and let people know that they are welcome. For RAG, I definitely think there's scope for collaboration. They're both, I mean, it's not exactly the same thing. We're all trying to raise money for a good cause. You should definitely collab. And I think maybe the social events that I was talking about before, to kind of involve all like-minded volunteers, perhaps we could put a ticket price on that and try and raise money for RAG. And if those are the people who are coming, they're generally people who are interested in volunteering anyway. So perhaps if we do some like pizza nights or karaoke nights, that would be a fun way to raise some money and add that community feel.
Great, thank you. Thank you. Okay. So we are now moving on to our welfare and liberation. Our international rep.
Good evening, everyone. Sincerest apologies for not being here today. I have my ICA tomorrow, and so I hope you understand why that has to be prioritised. I'm running to be your next international rep, and as an international student myself for over 4 years, my main aim is to continue to develop from the existing work that has been done to develop a welcoming environment for international students. Having first-hand experience of what they go through, such as culture shock, moving to another country, leaving family behind, and university tuition fee policies, I'm aware of the support we need to ease the transition into university life. I want to truly celebrate the diversity of our cultures forming the VLSA student population. If elected, I aim to build upon the Welcome Week for international students, increase engagement with the International Students Forum. Also, I plan to host a variety of events for International Week, such as workshops on being a student in London, and support cultural societies in promoting their events to students from those communities. If you have any questions or would like to grab a coffee, please contact me via my email bt15522@qmul.ac.uk.
Okay, moving on. Disability and SLD.
Hi, my name's Lucy Edgar and I'm running for the Disabilities and SLD rep this year. I have lots of experience working with people with disabilities. I'm dyslexic myself, and previously I've worked as a disabilities advocate and a learning support advocate as well. I'm really passionate about disabilities, especially the work done this year, which has sort of brought mental health more into the disability sphere, and I think it's a fantastic and evolving culture here at Barts, and I would love to make it more of a culture, such as like the LGBT plus week and the BAME societies. I feel like we have a very strong disabled culture, but it needs to be really showcased at Barts, and I think it's really important to bring people together to show that even though we're all different, we are also the same, and to help support each other and other people as they're going through different points in their life. Thank you very much.
Alright. We've got any questions? Matt?
Hi, what do you think we can do to improve the facilities for people with disabilities, especially on this campus, and not just visible disabilities?
Okay. And any other questions? Yes?
What would you do to counteract the stigmatism around disabilities? Because I feel that students, students especially at BL, being doctors and dentists or allied courses, where you're in a position of dealing with patients and people who, so at BL we have a big variety of people with disabilities, and we're generally more accepting of each other, but in a professional environment it's harder for, especially students, say you're your consultant or they want you to write an essay or something, adding your colour note, you might not feel comfortable adding that just because of the stigmatism surrounding that, especially in older generations.
Sorry, could I clarify
So
that?
what would you do? What would you do to sort of counteract that stigmatism between people in professional settings?
So
wait, let me just for the microphone, let me just repeat. So the first question was about improving facilities on this campus for all disabilities, not just those that are visible. And then the second question was about counteracting stigmatism around, and particularly focusing on kind of clinical placements. Is that correct? Okay, all right. Just when you're ready.
In regards to visible disabilities and access needs more on more of a physical level, I know that this campus has had some issues in the past with disabled access and disabled toilets not being accessible or visible as such. I know we've started to implement the key system becoming more of an accessible thing, but I would like to further act on that, and also the access in terms of garage, making the access more obvious. With the rebuilding of Laird Hall, whenever that should happen, I would love for it to be put into writing that the rebuild will be accessible, as well as Floyer, and whatever's happening with Dawson, whatever happened, so making sure that that is also accessible, because there is issues with accessibility with the disabled lift sometimes not working, the 2 lifts not working, and all of that. In regards to accessibility on placements, and also accessibility for the maybe non-visible learning difficulties or etc., I think encouraging lecturers and placement leads to make their teaching more accessible, be that whether providing accessibility teaching or guidelines for staff, or increasing the lecture, the accessibility in lectures, for example, encouraging the roaming mics, as I know that that's sometimes a lot more accessible than having the standing mic for many students, and also presenting some guidelines as to how to teach the students with accessibility needs, and without forcing the students to disclose that they have accessibility needs if they don't want to. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you very much. We've got any? Yeah, Numa?
So as someone who's had to use DDS a lot, I think one of the issues that I faced was not really understanding what the protocol was to get to DDS, because there's like a shocking number of people who come to uni and then realise they have some kind of learning difficulty, and also it's difficult to like get appointments at suitable times for people who are on Whitechapel campus, and also to even sometimes explain to the staff at Myland campus like what your specific needs are, and then the appointment that I was given to get assessed was in the middle of nowhere, Hackney, and I didn't think it was like super useful. So I just think like, how do you have any ideas on how you could maybe streamline those processes, or have maybe like a document or something that could lay out what to expect if you do go through that process? Because I know that I had no idea what to expect, and it was all just very shocking. So
Yeah. Okay. So Numa's question was about streamlining processes and improving the protocol in accessing appointments. And is that a fair summary?
So I think it's a very, very valid question. I think a lot more people than people realise go through similar situations. Personally, in my manifesto, I did say about running a drop-in session so that people with newly diagnosed or potential diagnosis could come and talk to the disabilities rep and talk about what the process is, or from people or from someone who's gone through it before. I think the issue with DDS not being in Whitechapel is an ongoing issue. They have now got some study skills things, but it's not anywhere near as conclusive as the things in Marland, which is unfortunate. But I think working with student support is a very good gateway into it. I know the student support tutors can be very good at getting appointments, getting speedy appointments. And I think increasing our interactions and our relationship with student support will definitely help with explaining what our student needs are, and the specific student needs, especially being that we have very different timetables and we are everywhere, not just medics or dentists, but also the allied courses. They're over in Charterhouse Square and they have no support at the moment. So I think, just to summarise, including a drop-in session where they could come and talk to someone, I would be very happy to do that. I said I would do that in my manifesto, about their own experiences and what they can maybe expect getting a diagnosis. With the diagnosis outside of the university, I know that's a harder one because they are done by external companies. I know I had mine in Stratford, which was again a bit of the middle of nowhere, but I would definitely look into seeing if there were anywhere other options closer to home. I think would be very useful, especially because it is a hard time for many people.
would love to be your women's rep. I'm in my 4th year at BL. I'm a medic and I'm currently integrating in global health. Since starting, I've been involved in a range of student groups, including societies, sport and volunteering, and I've loved being part of the BL community. I'm passionate about making things at BL as good as they should be for BL women, and I've shown that by going to women's forums regularly since they started. I think that BL should be a place where everyone who identifies as a woman feels represented and included and safe. And I think that key issues include addressing harassment and bullying on firms and improving the reporting procedure, and also improving safety on the Whitechapel campus. I also want to improve engagement in women's forums and increase the amount of women speakers at events. These are just a few of my plans. There's a lot more plans and a lot more detail on my manifesto, or my woman manifesto, so please check that out. I really, really care about this role, and I have experience organising events and being on committee positions, and I hope you can tell from the manifesto that I thought really hard about how we can make things better, and I'm really committed to making those things happen. So please vote for Emily for BL Women's Rep.
Lovely. Opening up the floor. Yeah, Grace and then Caitlin, please.
You mentioned about having more women speakers at different events and stuff. How do you plan to do that?
Okay, Caitlin.
So this year, women's forums haven't really had great attendance, and in general, the spectrum of people that attend women's forums aren't always that diverse. So how would you want to tackle that issue?
Okay. So just to repeat, how would you plan on getting more women speakers in, and improving the attendance and diversity of women's forum?
So in terms of women speakers, I think firstly it is important to have events that spotlight women in medicine or dentistry or allied courses, but it's also really important that women are in spaces that aren't just specifically for women. There's this organisation called Women Speakers in Healthcare, and it's really cool, they have this database where you can nominate yourself, you can nominate your women colleagues, and put in what you're happy to speak about, and they basically will match you to your conference. So I would like to collaborate with the societies here, so when they're putting on an event, they contact that organisation and they can put them in touch with women speakers. In terms of improving engagement, firstly improving advertising, so a lot of it's on social media, but I'd like to advertise more through liberation reps, course reps and societies and volunteering, to make sure we access more people. I also want to introduce an online form so that people that can't come to Women's Forum are still able to have some input, and I know that particularly affects commuters and allied courses, and also people with accessibility difficulties. Also, I'd like to pair up with the LGBT+ rep to run an LGBT+ women's forum, and also pair up with the BAME rep to run a BAME women's forum specifically, and yeah, hopefully overall should improve things.
Okay, any more questions? Tom and Tilly.
You mentioned about placements, and how do you think we can empower students, and I guess particularly with all students on placements, to be well equipped to kind of call out sexist consultants and whatever else we might come across when we're on placements?
Lovely. Till?
Do you think there are enough women, and especially women from BAME backgrounds, in positions of power in the university? And if not, what do you think you can do in your role to encourage more representation and role modelling for the students as a whole?
Okay, so just to refresh, how do you envisage empowering whistleblowing on placements, and how will you help in the women's rep role encourage women to take leadership positions, particularly our BAME women?
Can I just clarify, do you mean within the SU or the university as a whole?
I meant within the university as a whole, but feel free to answer both questions.
You don't get more time.
So for Tilly's question, I think that no, there aren't enough women in leadership positions, and there aren't enough BAME women in leadership positions. I think in terms of what I can do is make sure that when we're inviting women to speak, that they are from BAME backgrounds, and make sure that there is representation there, which I think can help. In terms of empowering students to feel like they can complain, I think a big issue with it is the complaints procedure itself. The raising concerns policy talks about patient safety. It doesn't talk about, or any other relevant concern, it doesn't talk about our well-being. And I think that a reporting procedure that actually mentions those things, like validates it as a valid thing to complain about, and the fact that it's not transparent, there's not a good policy, means that, and there's also a lot of people have poor experiences when they do complain. So I think as women's rep, making that procedure better and more transparent. I know that's something that the current BLSA and Meg has been working on, and it's recently been something passed at Student Council, which is a really good start. But yeah, so starting with improving the raising concerns policy, and also I'm going to have some informal tea and talks where people can come and women can come and chat, and that's also sorted.